This is a no drawing only painting. I'm literally going to be painting with my brush without any outline drawing. And this owl is pretty much from my imagination. It's just to get you painting in acrylics, not worrying about the finished result, just painting on marks, splashing on colour, using, as I'm in this demonstration, just using 2 sets of primary colours, warm and cool. I'll talk about that in the tutorial, but it's really just an opportunity using just one brush to have a go at acrylic painting and not worry about the finished result. For a full list of all the materials I'm using in this demonstration, please see the description. I'll also give you colour alternatives. As you can see, I've already previously used this palette, so I'm actually still using these acrylic paints because I'm using a stay wet palette. It stops the paints from drying out. And I do this by using a plastic box, then putting in some paper towel, wet the paper towel, then put grease-proof or parchment paper over the top, and then you can put your acrylics on top. And because the paper towel is moist, it'll stop your acrylics from drying out. It's a homemade version. You can buy these, but I just think, why not make your own? So I really hope you find that helpful. So as you can see, I'm just using a 3/4 inch flat synthetic brush. I love using flat brushes in acrylic painting, and I'm just sort of tentatively sort of sketching in the owl's eye. I hope the little reference photograph of my finished painting is helpful. But if you've got your own photograph of an owl, don't do any drawing, just sort of sketch it like this in the way I'm doing here. It's so freeing up. And remember, in acrylic painting, if it goes wrong, let it dry and then paint over the top. It's as simple as that. You don't have to rub anything out. You don't have to get another piece of paper. I am using acrylic paper as well, so it's primed and ready to use. So I'm just sort of using some of the black here. I'm using white as well, not quite yet, but I've got black and white. I've got a yellow ochre and a cadmium yellow. I've got cadmium red, and I've got a quinacridone magenta pink. You can use any pink. I've got cobalt blue, which is a warm blue, and I've got a cyan or a primary blue, which is a cooler blue, and they all do different things. At the moment, I'm just using the warm yellow and the red to make those lovely warm eyes. I'm using the black, and I've also used a bit of orange and red to make these marks here. And as you can see, I'm really varying the marks, and there's not a lot of paint on the brush in some instances here. So I can just tentatively sort of build up this painting. As you can see there, I did attempt the beak there. I'm not quite sure about it, so I can change that later. I've given the owl a little bit of eyeliner there, painted in his pupil. As you can see, my brush is just dancing around here and there, just making marks, almost painting instinctively rather than copying something. I think art is so important and painting is so important. There's not just one type of painting. This is quite an impressionistic style as well. So what I'm doing here is I've just mixed up some of the cobalt blue and white, and I picked up some other colours in there as well. It really doesn't matter, but I'm just sort of blocking in a background now, really to pull the owl out and to create some depth in the painting. It's really nice to use kind of alternative colours. You don't have to actually copy the sort of colours in front of you. You can interpret them and you can express yourself. And I've used some pastel shades there, yellows and pinks. I've started in on the white now, just sort of the painting is still wet, so it's picking up some of the underpainting, so it's greyed up a bit. But I'm just putting a little bit of white in. It may be too soon, but it doesn't matter. This is the kind of like almost a sketch painting, and I tell you now, I'm really enjoying it. It's very freeing up. And it doesn't matter, you can just express yourself. It doesn't have to be an owl either. It can be something where you could choose a vase of flowers and paint in a similar way. trying to sculpt the face here, give him a heart-shaped face almost, sort of showing that sort of outline where there's the soft feathers on the face, and then you get these sort of darker feathers around the body there, just going in the eye there, just sort of, you know, really sort of putting these dark accents here and there. Yes, I've got one brush and it is a bit tricky in these smaller areas, but I find just simplifying everything really gets you in touch with the painting more, and really sort of makes you appreciate then other brushes, and it doesn't make you fiddle as much because you know you can't keep going because this brush can only do so much. So it helps with that overworking. It also makes you think more, because you're thinking, how can I make that mark with this brush? So it really sort of interrupts that sort of free flowing sometimes where we can overwork. So I'm just sort of working out the beak again here. I'm just trying to see what looks right, and also marking in the eye and a little bit of dark there on the sort of feathers where the ears are, and just getting a little bit now of some violet and yellow. Well, it's not quite violet, it's yellow and black actually, but violet and yellow would be quite nice as well. But just flicking those colours. Just be careful not to do over painting, and do dry your painting in between time as well. It really helps, keeps all the colours fresh and stops them from muddying. So this beak was really bothering me. So because the paint was still wet, I got some water on there and just tapped off a little bit with a bit of paper towel so I could start afresh. So I've really sort of taken off all that moisture there. I'm just trying to find the beak. So sort of, you know, working my way from the eye and then bringing it down. I just think it was just, sometimes it can just be a little bit out. So I'm just using this sort of black and just sort of marking in this beak here. It's a good exercise to work things out. What is really nice when I'm filming my own little painting here is the journey that it goes on from those very initial marks, and then you develop it, you change it. And it's really interesting, especially if you speed it up as well. You know, the painting goes in all sorts of different directions and you pull it back here and, you know, you're creating all of the time. I decided to use the plastic card, so I'm dipping it into some of the black and the red there and just creating marks on the face of the owl there. And you can do this wet on dry. And yes, I know I'm just using one brush, but it's quite nice to do this with a plastic card. You could also use the bottom of the tube of paint as well. So I'm just going back into this beak again, trying to find it again, cutting into feathers as well. It's interesting because I've painted a lot of watercolour owls, and I know when I've taught students it, whether we're painting from our imaginations or from a photo, I'd love to paint with the real thing though, of course. Beautiful creatures, owls. But we all struggle with a beak for some reason. I think we just kind of just overthink it. So I've just shown you a little bit of overthinking there. But I'm quite pleased with this. I'm using black now to really sort of pop out these darks. And remember, paint this wet on dry so you don't pick up any underpainting. So you want that black to look really fresh. So I'm really finishing off here with a spatter. I've just slightly watered down some pink and a little bit of white, and I'm spattering with my flat brush, just giving the brush a really good tap. Just be careful with this because you don't want the acrylic paint to be on anything important, so just be careful. I'm just going to spatter a little bit of yellow also. So thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I really hope it will inspire you to have a go at painting without any sort of drawing, and just maybe paint from your imagination. Use one brush, just a set amount of paints, limit yourself and just see what happens. It doesn't have to be an owl, it can be anything. Good luck with that. Let me know how you get on in the comments section below. If you'd like to see any more tutorials like this, please subscribe to my YouTube channel where you'll get updates of my latest tutorials. Thank you again for watching. Happy painting. Bye for now.